The pleasure now of introducing to you Flinders University's Pro-Vice-Chancellor of Research and Training Capabilities and the Dean of Graduate Research, Professor Tim Cavagnaro, who will open today's symposium. Tim Cavagnaro is Professor of Soil Ecology and Dean of Graduate Research and leads the Office of Graduate Research at Flinders University. He is dedicated to enhancing Flinders' national and international reputation for research impact, engagement and the overall success of graduate researchers and student researchers at Flinders University. And in addition to providing that leadership and support for research, and I'll note that Flinders is now ranked number 2 globally for contributing to Sustainable Development Goal number 10, which is the reduction of inequality. So I think he's probably doing a pretty good job at what he does. Tim also advocates for masters and PhD experiences that develop well-rounded researchers and that connect them to industry with to collaborate with diverse organisations, institutes and industry partners. His own research is focused on soil ecological processes with an emphasis on the impacts of land management and environmental change, focusing on soil microbiomes, ecological intensification, don't know if you've had any of that lately, carbon sequestration and plant microbe interactions. He also spans the science-policy interface. That's a key feature of the work that Tim does, which makes him the very perfect person to offer our opening address this morning. Tim, the podium's yours.
Great. Thank you, Catherine. Appreciate the introduction and the invitation to be here today. I'll start by acknowledging that we're meeting on the lands of the Kaurna people and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and extend those respects to any Indigenous colleagues that might be joining us today. And I have to say, what a fantastic venue to look across these beautiful Kaurna lands. It's just wonderful to be here. I always enjoy working in our city campus. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to the Transforming SA Critical Technologies Symposium hosted by Innovation Central Adelaide in collaboration with our partners at Cisco, the National Industry Innovation Network and a broad coalition of industry leaders, researchers and policy makers. I welcome you as senior leaders across artificial intelligence, advanced ICT and critical technologies, as well as advisors along with senior officials from state and federal government departments and business executives. Your leadership and insights are vital to shaping Australia's sovereign future in critical technologies. This symposium, it's more than an event, it's a call to action. It's a moment to reflect on where we are and to chart a bold course forward for South Australia's technological future. The pace, as you well know, of technological change is accelerating. AI, quantum, cyber and advanced networks were once imagined inventions, the stuff of primary research and exploration of the possible. But now they're embedded in our industries, reshaping productivity, competitiveness and national resilience. These technologies are not optional, they're strategic imperatives. And whether it's through our work with Cisco on sovereign infrastructure, our partnerships with SA Health through the Digital Health Design Lab, or our Factory of the Future initiative, Flinders is committed to building a future-ready ecosystem that empowers South Australian industries to thrive. At Flinders, we believe that transformative innovation must be grounded in collaboration, capability building and community impact. Now, I'm going to underline impact, all important impact. Our vision is to be a catalyst for change, connecting research excellence with industry needs and translating knowledge into real-world outcomes. Universities bring the research depth, industry brings the urgency and scale, and government brings the guide rails, trust, inclusion and sovereignty. Today's event, Transforming Critical Technology Symposium, aims to show a path forward together. To lead in AI, quantum and cyber, South Australia must draw this together as a single system. One that prototypes fast, translates boldly and scales responsibly. The payoff won't come from invention alone, but from alignment, from shared risk, shared vision and shared infrastructure. So the question isn't whether we can collaborate, it's a matter of what we want to achieve together. And so as we move through this morning's discussions, I encourage you to envision a bold future, to connect with those at your table and in the room, and to respond what you hear and learn today with both questions and further action. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Come on in and join us. So it's me again, and if you haven't figured it out, I will be your MC today. My name is Catherine Anderson. I am the Alliance Manager for the partnership. That's interesting. There we go, let's try that. That's okay. I have my tech advisor in the room, it's always a good thing. I'm the Alliance Manager for the partnership between Flinders University and Cisco, and I lead Innovation Central Adelaide, which is Flinders' hub for industry engagement in digital innovation. So for some of you, Innovation Central Adelaide may be new, so I have prepared by way of introduction. Oh, where did I go? Have we lost that slide? That's okay. Let's bounce back. That one we need to update, don't we? Okay, I'm going to do that later then. All right. Let's talk a little bit about what we're doing today. I had a lovely slide here that's going to show you the National Industry Innovation Network. So let me give you a couple of points on that. Innovation Central Adelaide is one of seven Innovation Centrals, 6 across Australia, and with Singapore launching just last week. Each provides a bridge between their host university, which is a single selected university in any one state, and industry, government and public services. This bridge provides access to research, knowledge, equipment and collaborative projects, from student internships to industry PhDs and collaborative grants. And each Innovation Central anchors the NIN in its state. But what is the NIN? I hear you cry. You can cry if you like. The NIN is the National Industry Innovation Network. This is a Cisco-led initiative, and it's what enables us to bring you today speakers from across the country. It is now one of Australia's largest innovation networks, and it helps to extend our capabilities beyond those available locally through a network of tech industry alumni, research chairs, government and industry connections and thought leaders, including affiliated companies and allied higher education institutions. And so we come to why. Why today, why now, and why critical technologies? And you will, I hope, answer this at least somewhat in that word cloud that we'll pull together from your answers to that question: how will critical technologies shape our future? The why of today, which leads to the program for today, is to provide a deep dive into the topics on that question, unpack some of the opportunities, the imperatives and the technology behind this shift. Why now and why critical technologies? Well, we're probably all familiar, I hope, and if you're not, you certainly will be by the end of today, that Australia's national interest is increasingly defined by our ability to harness, secure and to lead in critical technologies for our industries, for our business leaders and for all of society. These critical technologies, from artificial intelligence and machine learning to quantum computing and biotech, are not only the tools to enable greater productivity, they scaffold our economic resilience, our national security and our social cohesion. As today's program proposes, however, the technology alone is not enough. It needs to be well adopted and well deployed. So, today's program is aimed at adoption and impact of critical technologies. You have a copy on your table of the agenda with bios of all of our speakers. I will note one change in our opening speaker. Thank you so much, Tim, for being able to step in at short notice on Vincent Bulone's behalf. More than perfectly suited for the job. You also have on your table an insights document that we hope will continue to spark thinking around how we enable adoption of critical technologies. And throughout the day, I'd like to encourage you to engage deeply and connect with others. You have the Wi-Fi conference. If anyone is missing, yes? I can. I can. If anyone needs it, Belle, who just waved at me at the back, is an absolute rock upon which yes, you are. So if you need anything during the day and I'm not available, then Belle can help you. That conference code, once again, is TALL-EGG19. So tall, eggs for breakfast, number 19. TALLEGG 19. You also have on your table a QR to the Slido. Please continue to interact with that. Please share your thoughts and your comments. Our Q&A will be held to the end of the session today, and we'll do that via panel. What that means is that we need you to input your questions throughout the day and your comments throughout the day. This is a space for collaboration, it is for challenge, and it is for co-creation. These are all values that we stand by at Innovation Central. You also have links on your tables for our social media for any of those influencers in the room, should you wish. We will be gathering insights from today to finalise a report on the transformation link, which will be sent on to you all. And this maps critical technologies across the capabilities of Flinders University, Innovation Central, the National Industry Innovation Network, industry needs and government requirements. It's now time for me to kick off this program. Let me just see if let's just jump here. My slides have gone a little out of whack from where they were before, so my apologies. You have again there the Slido QR code, so please do make sure that you are interacting on Slido. We will have Richard Dodsworth, who is my technology advisor for ICA, will be wrangling your questions as we go through the day, and we will reach the 4 key salient topic areas by the time we reach that panel session. I am, however, going to invite Richard and Edward Robinson to join me up here now. And we'll begin with a view of the future from Edward Robinson, who is the founder of Robinson Aerospace and who has a lot of future ahead of him. And for that, a uniquely insightful view of where we are now. Innovation Central Adelaide's technology advisor and industry alum, Richard Dodsworth, will pose a few short and pithy questions to Edward and kick us off with a provocation fireside on how we should unite, educate and equip South Australia for a next-gen economy. Gentlemen, over to you.
So Edward, welcome. Nothing like being first up in the morning, is it? Like first on stage.
Yes, bright and early on this Monday morning, but look at the view. It's pretty crazy.
It's very, very good. So as you can see, Edward is much younger than I am. He's in his 20s. So Edward, you know, as a person in their 20s launching satellites, which is way cool, what drives you? What's got you to this point so far?
Passion. I absolutely love technology, I love business, and I love space. Because, in my opinion, what cooler than space? You know, there's the unknown, there's the complexity, there's the tech involved. It encapsulates all the different things that I just mentioned. So the journey kind of started when I was in school. I saw some videos of SpaceX rockets landing on a ship in the middle of the ocean. Who's seen that? Most of you probably seen that somewhere. Yep, lots of nods. These rockets are like the height of like a 21-story building. And when I first saw that, I was like, you can't do that. Like, that has to be, you know, CGI, not AI. There was no AI back then, but it has to be CGI. And when I realised that it's real, when people are actually launching these rockets and landing them after going to space, it was like, wow, that's what I want to do. I want to work on space tech. And then, yeah, the passion just grew and grew and grew, and that's still what drives me today, is just an immense passion for space and business and technology as a whole.
Fantastic. Yes, you can hear the passion in the way you answered that question. And so that leads on to to what we're talking about today, which is the importance of critical technologies and skills that are needed in the space and tech industry. So perhaps you could sort of outline what you feel is important about the discussion that we're having today around critical technologies, and more importantly, I think, about the skills that are needed and how we develop those as a state and nation.
Yeah. So I think this kind of goes both ways. Like, on one hand, space encapsulates, you know, the most complex technologies imaginable, but on the other hand, space also empowers those technologies. Like you need the satellites in space to be powering IoT, to be powering communications and AI systems, all these different things that are powered as a result of space. In terms of the skills, again, like, if you're going to build a satellite, you need pretty much every type of engineer imaginable to get that satellite into space. So the complexity and the skills required from, a young age through school, through university, and eventually, getting that first opportunity in the industry and building up those skills are quite immense.
Yeah, and do you have any sort of thoughts on the skills that are required? So how do you sort of classify the skills that are important?
Sure.
Yeah.
So my answer was probably a bit vague. I think the skills are evolving a lot, even in the past, few years. 4 or 5 years ago, when you're learning stuff in school and university, you really have to have a really good understanding of whatever it is, the topic that you're learning. Whereas now with AI and ChatGPT and these other systems, you need to understand the fundamentals, but then beyond that, you need to have good problem-solving skills. If you understand the fundamentals of a topic and know how to then ask the right questions and how to leverage AI and these critical technologies, then you can figure out the answer to everything. A good example is, things like calculus. Right? It's like you need to understand calculus and why it's used and the fundamental concepts of it. But then when it comes to actually implementing that in the real world, you can really leverage systems like AI to support that, rather than needing to know literally everything about calculus, off the top of your head.
Yeah. So what you're saying, I think what I'm hearing is, it's a bit of a change from having to know everything to having to know the foundation, and the fundamentals are still really important, as they always were, but they're equally important today.
Yep.
But the assistance that you can get on top of those, that understanding of the fundamentals, is where AI can really play a big part in.
Exactly. Knowing the fundamentals and then knowing the right questions to ask and the right processes to solve whatever problem it is that you're trying to get to.
Great. And so how are we faring? How are we doing in doing that, do you think? How are we sort of going on that journey?
Yeah, we're going really good in that direction. What was my answer for this one? Yeah. In general, I think young people who are going in towards these technologies and towards these different careers are very, very passionate, but they might not necessarily always know the right ways to get there or have the right opportunities to get there. So it's like, broadly, young people are very passionate about tech and have a very good grasp of it from a young age. You see a lot of kids who are 8 years old and they've got an iPad in their hands. So they're, from a very young age, that they're learning how to use these devices, and some of them are using things like scratch coding or block coding to figure these things out. So it starts at a young age, but then it's when they actually start to consider what career they're going to pursue in these kind of senior years of high school. I think that's when they go in different directions. That's when it's they might consider technology or engineering is too complex, or it's too difficult, or they might not have the right opportunities to push them in that direction. So I think it's about giving them opportunities to develop those skills to eventually empower these sectors a lot more.
Yeah, and do you think are there any particular areas you think we can improve and help them in those areas? You're saying some of them find it difficult to pursue those careers or those interests.
Yeah.
Is there anything you think we could be doing differently to increase that adoption of the critical technology skill set?
Yeah, I think, again, going back to what I kind of said, is opportunities, is giving students opportunities. So it's an example is like internships, right? So it's these students, they're studying these degrees, but they get to a point in their degree where it's they don't really know where to go to next. They don't have that clear path. So it's kind of, the answer's a little bit vague, but it's just trying to guide them a little bit more and give them opportunities. I don't have a better answer for that one, sorry, but yeah.
That's okay, that's fine. I think the fundamental there is that there's passion, there's interest from the coming generations. It's a matter of how we enable them and get them the opportunities to sort of see what's possible. I mean, if you don't know what you don't know, it's very hard to make decisions. You need to have those opportunities to see what's possible. I think is what you're saying. Great. So beyond what you're doing in schools and universities, and for those of you who may not know Edward's background, he spends a lot of time educating or providing educational material to schools and universities around space and the skills needed to launch satellites and other things there. So beyond what you're doing there, Edward, what kind of broader ecosystem do we need to help the next generation to be successful?
I think it's really looking at the roots of where these critical technologies are being developed, and that is in startups, amongst researchers, those kind of areas is like a lot of where the foundation of the new technologies which haven't been adopted yet because no one even knows it exists. You know, those things start at the startup level. I think if you look at, you know, the United States, the big reason that I see of why there's so many massive successful startups in the US is because they're able to access customers at early stages within their business, whether that's from government, whether that's from larger companies. They seem to have a lot more support in that area. You know, it's like in Australia, there's a big focus on, you know, raising venture capital, which is great to propel a company forward, but ultimately, when that funding stops, there needs to be customers in place to continue the company forwards, to be able to get that technology from the startup who created it and actually into mass adoption. So I think the biggest thing I can say there is trying to support startups more, and researchers for that matter, through, you know, having government as a customer, having large companies as a customer, not just grants and VC investment.
Fantastic. And something that's not in your list of questions that I was going to ask, I've just thought of it, is what do you look for when you're hiring someone into your business? So what are the skills that you look for when you're looking to hire someone to come and help the work that you're doing?
That's a good question, actually. We have 15 people in the business so far, and my hiring strategy is very, very unique. I really don't look at resumes that much because I find that so many people just over-exaggerate so much. You know, like they over-promise so much on their resume, which is what you got to do to some extent, but you don't know how much you can trust it. So what I do is I find people, usually students or recent graduates, who are exceedingly passionate. Like students who are so passionate about whatever it is that they're good at that, you know, they would work for us for free. They don't. We pay everyone pretty fairly. But that's the kind of passion that I'm looking for. Because at the end of the day, whether you have experience or not, or the skills or not, if you have the passion, you will find a way to figure it out. And these are the people that we want on our team so we can work with them to help them figure it out, to help them learn what they want to know, learn what they need to know to, you know, use Robinson Aerospace as that first industry opportunity to get that foundational skills and then eventually, you know, go and get a full-time job or something like that at a larger company of their dreams, you know, whether that's in often cases be, you know, fleet space or Southern Launch because we're heavily involved with the space sector and that's kind of our realm.
Yeah, and just leading on from that, so in South Australia, how do you think South Australia fares in the space area? I mean, we've got Fleet, we've got yourselves, there are many little companies or smaller companies involved in the space arena. How do you think we fare as a state?
SA is the space capital of Australia. There is no doubt about that. I think, you know, Sydney, they like to think that they're the space capital, but no, it's definitely South Australia. You know, we really pioneered things since 2018, which is when the space sector kind of lifted off with the space agency being formed here at Lot 14. And around that, this huge boom of companies like, you know, Fleet Space. I don't know if anyone's seen their facility at the airport now, but their new headquarters is truly enormous. Like, what a success story. Southern Launch launching rockets, Innovation Technologies, other companies that support it with things like quantum and AI. So there's so much happening in space, and you know the largest startups, which are now not even startups, they're scale-ups now. You know, because they're growing so much. They are here in SA at places like Lot 14, or in some cases in their own facilities because they've outgrown what can be provided there.
Yeah, and I think that's just testament to the earlier questions on the need for the skills to continue to develop in that space.
Yeah.
No pun intended. All right, so final question. So it's 2040. You're no longer 20, you're in your 40s now.
Yep.
You're a bit of an older man now. Paint us a picture of how you envisage the next gen tech economy to look in the 2040s.
Yeah, this is truly exciting, and this is kind of what gets me out of bed each morning is, you know, the picture of the future that we are heading towards with the companies we have right now, the technology, the systems, and where that's going to go in the future. Like, just the other day, I walked into Tesla Adelaide, I hopped into Tesla, I typed in a destination on the screen in South Australia, and it drove me without touching the steering wheel or the pedals for 45 minutes to a destination, completely autonomously, without any interruptions, and I felt safer in that vehicle than I ever have with a human driver behind the wheel. I'm not kidding. At first it's like, oh, you know, you've got to trust this AI machine learning system, but, you know, man, it's just crazy. And things like that lead to such a rapid change where, like, in the future, people might not even need to own cars. You know, they'll just, like, they'll book an Uber, but it'll be a fully autonomous self-driving vehicle that'll rock up, right? So there's that side of things which is heavily impacted by critical tech to enable those systems to work. There's the future of, robots in homes. This idea of having humanoid robots that are doing the chores for you, or that are managing, production lines and stuff like that, which again is going to be a major shift. I think a lot of people are scared that robots are going to take jobs, but I don't see it that way. It's like robots are going to take away the jobs that people don't want to do, or the jobs that are too dangerous to do, and they're going to assist in that area, while the humans then take new jobs in other areas. So I don't quite see it that way. Looking locally in SA, we're really pioneering things. We've got the Australian Institute of Machine Learning just down the road here. We've got various AI researchers around the place. We've got people making flying cars. I don't know who's seen that, but there's literally flying cars being pioneered here in South Australia on the global stage. We've got advanced manufacturing being implemented at Tonsley and at Red Arc Electronics and places like that. It's all happening in SA, and as I said, I couldn't be more excited for the future, and I just want to keep being part of the development of this tech, the development of these sectors into the future, and kind of keep building things up as much as we can.
Fantastic, Edward. I think a great advertisement for the state and for your business, and thank you so much for your time with us today, and for sort of instilling the younger generation perspective on the positivity of the future is fantastic to hear. So everyone, thanks to Edward for his time.
Thank you.